This program is brought to you by Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation.
President Rodrigo Duterte issued Memorandum Order No. 32 to suppress lawless violence in Samar, Negros Oriental and Occidental and the Bicol region. Critics, however, doubt the real intention of the order. Some say it may be a prelude to a nationwide declaration of martial law. This is On the Record. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Our guests tonight, joining us in just a bit, of course, PNP Spokesperson, Chief Superintendent Bong Durana. We're also speaking here to AFP Spokesperson, Brigadier General Edgard Arevalo, and we will speak by telephone to Human Rights Group Karapatan Deputy Secretary General Jigs Clamor later on in the show. But first, General Arevalo, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Pia. It's a pleasure to be here. To all our televiewers, magandang gabi po.
So, General, can we begin with this? No? Yung MO32 referring to sporadic acts of violence in, very specific areas, Bicol region, Region 5, Negros Oriental and Occidental, and Samar in Region 8. What specific incidents are we referring to here?
Well, nabanggit natin dito yung mga pag-atake sa iba't ibang detachments ng armed forces, sa mga installations ng Philippine National Police.
Yeah. Pag-atake ng
New People's Army.
NPA, Communist Rebels,
yes,
okay?
Terrorist NPA. And then meron din tayong pagtagtad ng bala sa bahay ng isang barangay captain dyan.
Where exactly was this?
I think it's in Negros Occidental. And then of course sa Negros Oriental, nandyan yung massacre sa Sagay. And then kung marirecall natin, sa bahagi ng Bicol, they ambushed a convoy ng Food and Drug Administration Director General.
They meaning?
They, the members of the New People's Army, and I think they admitted to that. And so these are just some of the documented particular instances.
So para bang lumalabas na, kumbaga, dumarami itong mga insidente or violent incidents?
These are occasions na makikita natin naman ng violent incidents. At nakikita natin, this action of government is one of a preemptive one. The intent of which is, kagaya ng sinasabi sa MO32, to suppress lawless violence and acts of terrorism and prevent its possible spread sa iba't ibang bahagi ng ating bansa. And we're very keen about this, not only because it is in consonance with our mandate, which is to protect the people in the state, but primarily because we are determined to defeat the terrorist group, New People's Army, and other lawless terrorist groups, local terrorist groups in the Philippines, and prevent its spread in key cities of the Philippines, like the ones in Metro Manila.
But this is mainly aimed at the New People's Army.
Well, not necessarily. Some of the instances that we mentioned are perpetrated by the terrorist group New People's Army, but still there are other local terrorist groups that are operating in the area.
MO32 refers to Memorandum Order 3 and Proclamation 55. So itong MO3 guidelines to implement Proclamation 55, yung Proclamation 55 naman itong State of National Emergency in Mindanao. The next question is, itong MO32, was this the result of a command conference? May pinag-usapan ba sa isang joint AFP-PNP command conference sa harap ni Presidente tungkol sa mga, this succession of sporadic acts of violence, sporadic incidents of violence, na i-report ba ito sa kanya? Kung kaya't naisipan niya na, teka muna, mag-deploy nga tayo ng additional na mga batalyon sa mga area?
Well, to be honest, Pia, I'm not privy kung nagkaroon ng isang command conference or was there a closed-door conference. But what I am sure about is that the President is continuously receiving reports such as this one. I am very sure that the President is abreast of what is happening around the country, and that could have triggered his decision to make this issuance to the Executive Secretary.
But is it necessary, is a memorandum order necessary to deploy battalions where they are not previously deployed, or the armed forces does that regularly? Even the PNP does that. You can move, both the AFP and the PNP can move people around, right?
Well, theoretically speaking, we can say that we are free to mobilize and move units and battalions of the armed forces of the Philippines. But as I was saying, it is still important for us to get hold of a particular order, written for that matter, because as I've been saying, that what makes the Philippine National Police and the Armed Forces of the Philippines unique as organizations, because we base our actions on orders, and subsequent orders needed to have bases. And this one, in this particular case, is MO number 32.
Okay.
But I was saying in principle it is necessary, but actually we were saying that we have moved already 2 battalions to Samar, even
before MO32
Yes, before
came out.
MO32,
Okay.
because that is part of our so-called operational introspection. We do assessment of our own conduct of operations vis-a-vis our timeline and our targets. And if we see that situations obtaining on the ground would require us to make adjustments with regard to our own deployments, then we may necessarily do so.
Okay. So in other words, hindi preempted ang word, no? Ahead of this issuance of MO32, nag-deploy na pala kayo, nag-move na pala kayo ng mga batalyon sa Samar.
2 battalions.
Yeah, okay. Well, nabanggit mo na yung PNP. Speaking of the PNP, the spokesperson here with us now, General Durana. Thank you very much for being here. General Durana, itong MO32, even before this, nag-move na ba kayo did you move people around, units of the PNP around even before MO32, similar to what General Arevalo is saying?
Not yet, but immediately upon the issuance of MO32, we deployed, I think, at least 1 company of Special Action Force in response to this.
Where, sir?
In Samar, in Negros Occidental, and in Bicol. Yeah. I think just a couple of days after the issuance of MO32.
I was asking General Arevalo earlier if itong these what is now called sporadic acts of violence in all these areas, pinag-usapan ba ito sa isang joint command conference with the President in attendance? Kaya't narinig niya ito, and then he decided that, let's put this down in writing, let's put this in black and white?
None that I know of, Pia. But as far as the Philippine National Police is concerned, these areas were actually a concern. No? We're not necessarily alarmed, but a concern because of this lawless violence perpetrated by CPP and PA. So definitely, it's not a matter of when, no? That we need to deploy additional forces in these areas.
Generals Durana and Arevalo, I suppose you are aware of how several people who are critical of this move and of the Duterte administration in general, no, see this as what they call a prelude to martial law. But you're going to answer that after this break. We just need to take a very short break. We'll be right back. You're still watching On the Record. We're discussing Memorandum Order number 32. Still with us, PNP spokesperson, Chief Superintendent Bong Durana. Pretty soon that's going to be Police Brigadier General. And AFP spokesperson, Brigadier General Edgard Arevalo. Before we get to the Karapatan Deputy SecGen, I wanted Generals Arevalo and Durana to respond to that question about, critics saying this is a prelude to martial law. President Duterte himself has denied it. But General Durana, the PNP's take on this?
Well, as far as the Philippine National Police is concerned, we look at it as an exercise of the obligation of the state to protect its citizens against lawless violence and acts of terror. For us, it was never meant to, to lay down the groundwork for the imposition of martial law nationwide. In fact, we've said this over and over again, just parroting what the President said, that, the Philippine National Police don't have the intention nor the appetite to support any imposition of national martial law. Because martial law is just the last resort of the state. If there's lawless violence and acts of terror, that's already unmanageable. But as far as the security force is concerned, the AFP and the Philippine National Police, everything is under control.
Everything under control, and in other words, you can manage things the way they are now, given what you can already do, no? General Arevalo?
Well, for me, without having to repeat what General Durana has already mentioned, but if I may add, I'd just say that there's no basis for this skepticism, especially for peace-loving individuals and law-abiding citizens. I don't think they have any problem with this. But if they are, or they belong to groups or individuals who have sinister motives or meaning to do harm or injury or destruction to the people, then they have all the reasons to panic.
Like, what groups are you referring to?
The New People's Army, for instance, have been doing all these atrocities in our communities, and we are bent on defeating them. But as we say, there's no basis for this skepticism, even with the the supposed could be abused with the MO32, and even in the martial law that is enforced in Mindanao, we say there is no basis because as far as the armed forces of the Philippines is concerned, we do not have any formal recorded violations of human rights or existing laws in the manner we enforce the martial law. And as a matter of fact, all I can say is that based on studies that have been conducted, we are enjoying the confidence of our people in terms of us performing our job, and we are yet to win this remaining portion for them to learn to trust government, if I may say it, the PNP, if I may say it, and us, the armed forces of the Philippines, because what we're doing is for the benefit of our people in our communities.
So it's not like you're not looking forward to the declaration of martial law for the armed forces in the PNP.
We are not, because as we have been showing and have been doing in Mindanao, we have lots of gains already, and as a matter of fact, these chief executives and citizens and people of Mindanao are the ones asking for the extension of martial law. We have at least recorded 2 governors and 8 municipal mayors who have already signified their intention to pass a resolution seeking for the extension of martial law. And this continues to snowball so far.
All right. Let's speak now to the Human Rights Group Karapatan, Deputy Secretary General Jigs Clamor. Jigs, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening.
Yeah, Jigs, so how does Karapatan look at MO32?
Well, earlier we released a statement saying that this issuance of Memorandum Number 32 is a prelude to a imposition of martial law nationwide. And this memorandum is just one of the ingredients made by the President, no less by the President, and especially in the light of this memorandum. Just yesterday, our National Solidarity Mission was held, but the participants, delegation of this National Solidarity Missions were subsequently trump-up charges were filed against them. So
wait a minute, Jigs. You're speaking of this what you call that humanitarian mission led by Satura Campo, right? But I'm so sorry, we don't have time to talk about that tonight kasi we're talking about MO32. Pero ang sinasabi mo lang, para bang indication lang ito, no? Isa pang indication, right? Now, when you say this is a prelude to martial law, you're going to have to hope that you are right, or else you're going to eat your words eventually, right?
Yes, but the President is very clear on his statements. For example, just after the issuance of Memorandum Number 32, a few days ago, he said that he's going to organize his death squad, simply for, if the police or the state security forces suspects these are members of the so-called CPP, the New People's Army, then the President has gave them orders to kill them. So.
So, nababahala kayo?
Yes, we are very much alarmed because especially if there are areas where there are military operations, there is a correlation between their deployment and subsequently the human rights violations that occurred in the places where there are military operations.
Alam mo, Jigs, even before MO32 was issued, meron namang movements na ng mga tauhan ng armed forces, and there will be more, and there will also be more, there will be movements of PNP units. For you, yung ganong mga movement, yung concentration halimbawa ng forces sa isang area, does that already amount to a prelude to martial law? earlier, no, sinasabi na nga ni General Durana and General Arevalo, the AFP and the PNP have a mandate to protect the state and the citizens of this country.
We understand that, but we have been saying this several times, that the troop deployment is not really the solution to the problem. And we have been reiterating that there is a need to really resume the peace talks. Because otherwise, if this, the conflicts, the root causes of this armed conflict will not be addressed, and then this military solution is will not really solve the problem. It will only pave the way for more rights violations. That is our concern.
It will also pave the way for more, encounters, encounters between the AFP, PNP, and rebel groups like the CPP-NPA, right? New People's Army.
Yes,
Ganun
there is a possibility of that. For example, in Negros, one of the provinces that was mentioned in the Memorandum Number 32, imagine citing the Sagay Massacre as one of the reasons. Well, in fact, there is no yet an independent investigation made. The president has already made a conclusion saying that this is being done by the perpetrators are NPA. So what we are saying
And
is,
as far as Karapatan is concerned, the perpetrators are who or what?
the SCA, the Special Civilian Auxiliary Armies, probably in control or working in behalf of under the governor of Negros.
All right. Jigs Clamor of Karapatan, thank you very much for joining us this evening. You're watching On the Record. We'll be back after the break. This is the final stretch of On the Record. We're talking about Memorandum Order Number 32. General Arevalo, the MO 32 took you by surprise. You, meaning the armed forces. It was a bit of a surprise, right?
In the sense that we are not aware if there were any meetings or discussions on that matter, but as I said, definitely there were consultations made between the Commander-in-Chief and the leadership of the AFP.
Although on Friday, November 23rd, you were quoted as saying there are matters that we still have to vet with GHQ, General Headquarters, together with the area commanders.
Right, because it would require deployment of troops subsequent to the issuance of the MO, and that being a deployment of troops, we have to consider other operational requirements and the operational tempo all over the country where the units that may be moved there will be coming from.
Yeah. And a battalion, by the way, is how many men?
Around 500.
500. General Durana for the Philippine National Police, was this a surprise also?
We saw it coming, Pia. We saw it coming because we are in the thick of our preparations for the midterm. First of all, the plebiscite in January 2019 and May 2019.
For the Bangsamoro Organic? Okay.
Yes, yes. And plus the fact that, we've been experiencing this lawless violence and terror attacks of the CPP and PA in these areas. So it's just, we're just actually beaten by the draw, the draw by,
Karapatan's
by that MO32.
Karapatan's deputy section was saying that it's not going to resolve anything. As a matter of fact, it may exacerbate matters even more.
Well, we have a strong basis that it will resolve actually the peace and order situation in that area. But I don't know what's the basis of the argument of Karapatan Deputy Secretary General.
Right. Okay, General Arevalo, final words?
Yeah, I was just, I cannot really fathom where these criticisms and skepticism of the critics of this government and this on the armed forces or the Philippine National Police, where they're drawing their arguments. It seems like all they see are sinister motives and nothing of good intentions. I said earlier that it is unfounded for them to feel panicky about this because if they are law-abiding citizens and peace-loving individuals, I don't think they should have a problem. But be that as it may, we should look at the letter and spirit of MO 32, which says it intends to suppress lawless violence and acts of terror and prevent its spread all over the country. And that being the case, I think we have to look at it that way, because we were saying that if that is the intention and we were moving to preempt, to be preemptive in that action, bakit natin may tendency na sisihin natin na ito prelude to martial law? Pero kung nag-escalate yung kaguluhan at hindi tayo gumawa ng anumang bagay, anumang pagkilos, anumang pag-augment ng forces, sasabihin nila, mahina ang gobyernong ito, walang foresight, may failure of intelligence, inutil ang gobyerno. Saan naman tayo lulugar? Now that the armed force of the Philippines in our case had, as I said earlier, operational introspection, pinag-aralan namin kung anong nangyayari sa amin with regard to our operation vis-a-vis our target, nagkaroon na tayo ng initial movement ng 2 batalyon. Finally, I am saying na ang ating mga kapwa Pilipino, sana makita nila ang ginagawa natin na ito na ang armed forces, wala tayong human rights violation na recorded na complaint sa atin. Not only because we are emphatic about this, not only because they don't have any recorded violation, but because we have strict regulations, instructions, and policies for us to adhere to it so that there will be no human rights violation even in the enforcement of martial law or MO32.
General Durana.
Amen.
Tapos?
No.
Okay.
Well, as far as the Philippine National Police is concerned, this is a democratic country. We cannot satisfy everybody. But as far as your law enforcement agency is concerned, we serve the best interest of the majority of the Filipino people. So we'll serve and protect, we'll enforce the law without fear or favor, despite all this criticism. But the majority of the Filipino people support this MO32 because they feel that it is necessary to maintain peace and order in their localities, like in these 4 or 5 provinces.
Generals Arevalo and Durana, thank you very much for joining us this evening. And that is tonight's On the Record. I'm Pio Ontiveros.
This program is brought to you by Bank of Commerce, an affiliate of San Miguel Corporation.